working in the spirit of the Golden Empire. This is 17 News at sunrise in high definition.
Up next, making headlines as controversial punishment. A mom who shaved her daughter's head is raising the question, is it tough parenting or child abuse?
Plus, experts say these...
All right, Robert, thank you very much. 6:32 now. You probably heard about the mom who was convicted of child abuse for putting hot sauce in her son's mouth. It made national headlines. So is it child abuse if a mom shaves her daughter's head in order to prove a point? That's what one Bakersfield mom did, and she was the focus of this column in last Sunday's Californian. Columnist Lois Henry asked why Child Protective Services cleared the adoptive mom of any wrongdoing. The 12-year-old reportedly was being punished for lying and stealing from her sister. 17 newsmakers this morning. It is a topic that we're talking about. It's a discussion around a lot of water coolers this morning. Dr. Gonzales joining us in studio to break it down. What exactly is child abuse, and how do you go from being an authoritative parent perhaps to stepping over the line? Dr. Gonzales joins us in our newsroom this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Kiyoshi. How are you?
Very good. So how do you define child abuse in a lot of cases? Is it kind of a case-by-case basis?
Well, it is case by case. I don't know a lot about this situation, but you always want to make sure that, disciplining is to teach your children. You always want to make sure that what you're teaching them is well thought out, is going to teach them something that's appropriate and useful for life. What we don't want to do, and what this seems to appear to be like, is something that's a little bit more authoritarian, that's a little bit more harsh. It can cause a lot of humility, and those things don't tend to work itself out well as far as long-term results with parenting.
And Dr. Gonzales, break that down for us. Authoritative versus authoritarian. What's the difference between the two?
Well, authoritative is when you are firm, you're consistent, you respond to the child, there's an open dialogue, and you really lead by example. Authoritarian is when you're not so consistent and involved, you're more volatile, and you sort of abuse your privilege of power, so to speak. In other words, you just do as I say. You're not leading by example, you're not open to a dialogue, you're not really responsive to your child. You're volatile, harsh, and unpredictable. And oftentimes that can lead to what we call sociopathic personalities. In other words, people that sort of lack remorse, lack empathy, and don't tend to do well in society.
And so we wanted to go over some of the tips of being a good parent, what are the purposes of being a good parent. One of the big things, of course, providing an environment that the kid feels safe in, right?
Yeah, you want to provide an environment that's free of any physical or emotional hazards so the child can focus and develop and thrive. And secondly, you want to empower and prepare your child to become independent and go out there in the real world and function. Have a set of skills, not just be obedient or just being compliant, but be an independent thinker. And third of all, you want to instill values in the child about how they see the world, how they value other people, their work ethics, their sense of consciousness and integrity. Those are really the keys to parenting.
So, Dr. Gonzales, I know you don't know all the details about this, but it was basically a 12-year-old girl and the mom here, adoptive mom, saying she wanted to teach her daughter a lesson about lying. She shaved the daughter's head. There were some questions brought up in Lois Henry's column about, this child being embarrassed, of course, in front of all of her peers and everything. This girl really loved her hair. If you were looking into this case, what do you say to the mom there in this case? Do you, if this child were potentially a foster child, let's say, take the child away?
Well, certainly as a foster child, it's more of a slippery slope because, I don't know about the rapport here, but what are you really teaching this child, I think, is a question. You want to think about those things before you do it. And you don't want to teach a child because you feel powerless or frustrated that you're going to take your anger out on someone and humiliate someone. Listen, I'm a survivor of chemotherapy, and I know how devastating losing your hair can be, particularly for a woman. This can be a very humiliating thing. So you don't want to teach your child that when you get angry, you act out, you're impulsive. Those aren't good skills to teach a child.
All right, Dr. Gonzales joining us live in studio this morning. It is a talker. A lot of people debate this, debate spanking. Where's the line being drawn? It's something, I guess, that apparently has to be decided on a case-by-case basis. Thanks for coming in with us this morning.
Always a pleasure, Kiyoshi.
All right, another news this morning. The husband of a woman charged with murder.